Within every living being lies a story older than memory. The caterpillar carries the story in silence, inching its way across the earth, never suspecting it already holds within itself the map of flight. We, too, carry such a hidden pattern, an inner image that waits to be realized. This is not simply ambition, nor is it vanity. It is the archetype of transformation, the eternal rhythm by which life renews itself. We are born into limitation. We stumble into the world fragile, dependent, defined by our smallness. Yet something deeper speaks within us, urging us toward expansion, toward a form we cannot yet see. When a child dreams of impossible futures, of soaring, of becoming more than their circumstances permit, this is not fantasy. It is a reflection of the same code that shapes the caterpillar's longing for wings. The dream is an echo of the future self calling out across time. To recognize this inner calling is the first step in transformation. Too often we look only at our current form, our current strength, our present position. The caterpillar could make the same mistake, believing its destiny is no greater than the leaf it feeds upon. But nature holds mysteries, and in those mysteries dwell the blueprint of flight. Transformation is not about becoming something alien to ourselves, but about allowing what already slumbers within us to awaken. In each of us lies an image greater than the self we know. To dream big is to trust that image, to trust that even the most earth-bound life can be called into the air. The sacred struggle, no transformation occurs without passage through darkness. The caterpillar does not step lightly into its wings. It is swallowed by the chrysalis. It enters a tomb of silence and surrender. In that space, the old form dissolves. Its body becomes unrecognizable, broken down into essence before the miracle of reshaping begins. To witness such a process is to witness the cost of becoming. So it is for us. We long for growth, but growth asks for sacrifice. The comfortable skin must be shed. The familiar self must fall away. This descent into uncertainty can feel like annihilation. We lose what we thought we were before we glimpse what we may become. And yet, it is precisely this dissolution that allows the deeper image to emerge. Without the chrysalis, no flight. Without the struggle, no awakening. Many people resist this stage. They want transformation without surrender, wings without the confinement of the cocoon. But life does not offer shortcuts. The pain of unknowing, the confusion of waiting, the humility of enduring trials, these are the crucibles that temper the soul. The dark interval is not punishment, it is preparation. When we encounter moments of collapse, seasons of silence, times when the old order of our lives disintegrates, we are living inside our chrysalis. The sacred struggle is doing its hidden work. It is dismantling what no longer serves us so that the deeper form may break through. The struggle is the alchemy of transformation, the fire through which the unreal self burns away. The power of humble beginnings. It is easy to dismiss the small. In a culture that worships spectacle, size, and speed, we forget that all greatness begins in quiet, fragile beginnings. The caterpillar is modest, almost invisible. It does not dazzle the eye, yet within its humble body lies the promise of wings that will one day scatter light. Every oak begins in the obscurity of soil unseen and uncelebrated. Every river begins as a trickle. Every journey begins with a hesitant step. To start small is not to start weak. It is to align with the natural order of growth. We often paralyze ourselves with the enormity of our dreams. We gaze at the distant horizon and despair of ever reaching it. But the horizon is reached through steady steps, through a faithfulness to beginnings. A book is written word by word. A movement is sparked by a single voice. A life is changed by a single decision. Greatness does not emerge fully formed. Even the stars began as dust. So too must we accept our beginnings with reverence. What matters is not the size of our start, but the persistence of our vision. Each small act, each small effort, each small step carries within it the weight of destiny. In honoring the small, we prepare the ground for the immense. The caterpillar does not despise its crawling. It trusts the process. It moves leaf to leaf, carrying in silence the image of wings. We too must not despise our beginnings. They are the soil in which our future self takes root, the call of the future self. What compels the caterpillar to enter the chrysalis? What beckons it into darkness with such trust? It is the call of its future self, a silent summoning toward wings it has never seen. This is not logic. This is not evidence. It is instinct, a whisper that says, there is more than this. So it is with human beings. We are summoned by dreams that often seem unreasonable. We imagine futures that have no proof in our present reality. Yet these imaginings are not accidents. They are the compass of the soul, pointing us toward the form we are destined to take. To dream is to be in conversation with one's future. To imagine is to touch the outline of the self that waits to be born. When we ignore these whispers, we feel restless, incomplete, estranged from our own life. But when we heed them, when we honor them, we begin to walk toward our wholeness. The call of the future self is not always gentle. Sometimes it arrives as longing, sometimes as dissatisfaction, sometimes as a crisis that shatters the old world. But beneath it all lies the same truth: we are more than we appear. The one who crawls is not the final form. The one who dreams of wings is already halfway to flight. Every path of becoming wins through shadows. Transformation does not unfold in the brightness of comfort, but in the obscurity of the unknown. When the caterpillar surrenders itself to the chrysalis, it does not glide smoothly into its new form. It enters dissolution. Its body softens into a kind of formlessness, a breaking down into something unrecognizable, an undoing of what once was. To the outside eye, this appears as stillness, but within, chaos reigns. Molecules rearrange, tissues dissolve, a hidden architecture begins to emerge from disarray. That collapse is not destruction, it is the necessary precondition of flight. So it is with us. The sacred struggle begins when the self we know starts to disintegrate. We step into seasons where what once defined us no longer holds. The roles we played, the identities we clung to, the certainties we carried, all begin to slip away. It is tempting to resist, to tighten our grip on the familiar. But the chrysalis does not allow resistance. It demands surrender. We cannot cling to the skin we are meant to shed. To resist is to suffocate. To yield is to transform. This stage of life is often mistaken for failure. The world tells us progress must be constant, linear, and visible. Yet the deeper truth is that all genuine growth requires intervals of obscurity. The seed disappears into the soil before it emerges as a sprout. The night precedes the dawn. The silence of winter protects the hidden labor of spring. When nothing seems to be moving, when everything feels suspended, that is when the deepest work is being done beneath the surface. The sacred struggle is a season of hidden gestation. Within the chrysalis, the caterpillar does not simply grow wings as an addition to its body. It must first lose itself entirely. This image of dissolution is terrifying because it reflects the very experiences we fear in our own lives. When we lose our footing, when old dreams fall apart, when relationships dissolve, when the path ahead collapses into fog, it feels as though something essential is dying. And in a way, something is. The old self must give way for the new one to emerge. We cannot become what we are meant to be while clinging to what we have been. This descent into struggle is sacred because it strips us of illusion. In comfort, we imagine ourselves whole. In struggle, we discover the limits of our strength, the depth of our endurance, and the hidden reserves we never knew we carried. It is in the darkness that the soul grows sinew. The chrysalis is not cruelty, it is mercy. It gives us the space to let the lesser self dissolve so that the greater self may be born. Every human being encounters this pattern, though the forms vary. For some, it appears as personal loss, a job ending, a relationship breaking apart, a plan collapsing. For others, it manifests as an inward crisis, the emptiness of meaning, the disorientation of questioning, the silence of prayer unanswered. In each case, the essence is the same. The old world dies so a new one can be shaped. This is the archetype of renewal woven into existence itself. We often misinterpret suffering as punishment, as if life seeks to harm us. But suffering, when seen through the lens of transformation, is initiation. It is the fire in which impurities burn away. The caterpillar does not imagine it as being punished inside the chrysalis. It obeys the deeper call of nature. In the same way, our struggles are not signs of abandonment but of preparation. They are not meaningless afflictions, but sacred passages through which we are being remade. Patience is demanded in this interval. Just as the caterpillar cannot tear open the chrysalis too soon without destroying itself, we cannot rush the process of becoming. The temptation to escape the dark too quickly is immense. We want clarity when none is given, relief when endurance is required, answers when silence holds sway. Yet the silence has its purpose. In the quiet obscurity, the new form arranges itself. The unseen prepares the visible. The dark protects what is not yet strong enough to emerge into the light. There is also struggle in the very act of emergence. When the butterfly fights to break through the walls of its cocoon, that struggle is not cruelty, but necessity. The pressure strengthens its wings, forcing blood into them so that they may carry it in flight. Were it released too easily, the wings would remain weak, incapable of carrying it into the air. So too in our lives, the obstacles we press against, the resistance we encounter, the trials that test us are the very forces that give us the strength to rise. Without the struggle, we would collapse under the weight of our own wings. It is important to recognize that the sacred struggle is not a single event, but a recurring rhythm. Just as nature cycles through death and rebirth, light and dark, growth and decay, so too do we encounter repeated passages through chrysalis seasons. Each stage of life requires new dissolutions, new emergences, new battles with the confines of the self. Each time we believe we have arrived, life reveals yet another horizon, yet another transformation waiting to unfold. The caterpillar does not transform once and then remain unchanged. Even the butterfly continues its cycles through seasons of abundance and fragility. The sacred struggle is not about reaching a final perfection. It is about continually allowing ourselves to be undone and remade again and again. It is about trusting that the dissolution is not death, but recreation, not failure, but fulfillment. The chrysalis is life's way of insisting that we are always more than the form we currently inhabit. It is the eternal reminder that wings await, though they are born only through surrender to the darkness. All things vast are born in silence. The mountains were once hidden in the shifting crust of the earth, unseen by any eye. The great rivers began not as mighty torrents, but as threads of water trickling from a hidden spring. Even the stars, whose brilliance commands the night sky, emerged from clouds of dust scattered and imperceptible. Life, in all its grandeur, obeys the law of small beginnings. The caterpillar embodies this truth. It is not born with wings, nor does it begin in glory. It crawls along branches unnoticed, moving slowly from leaf to leaf. To the casual observer, it appears insignificant, a fragile creature confined to the ground. And yet, within its smallness lies the mystery of transformation. The wings that will one day scatter light are already inscribed in its being. Its beginning is humble, but its destiny is vast. Human life follows the same pattern. We long for greatness, for impact, for the realization of dreams. But greatness does not come fully formed. The world often deceives us with stories of sudden success, of brilliance revealed in an instant, but these are illusions. Behind every towering achievement lies the soil of beginnings, moments of obscurity, acts so small they seem almost trivial, decisions that appear inconsequential until time reveals their weight. To honor beginnings is to align with the deepest rhythm of growth. The seed must sink into the darkness of the earth before the tree can rise. In that darkness, it carries no resemblance to what it will become. Yet the oak already lives within the acorn, waiting for its moment of unveiling. So it is with us the image of who we are meant to be, lives hidden within us, even when our steps seem small, even when our efforts appear unnoticed. It is easy to despise the small. We measure ourselves against the vastness of our dreams and despair at the gap between vision and reality. We look at the mountain ahead and are paralyzed by its size. We forget that the climb begins with a single step, that each step carries us closer to the summit. The small is not insignificant. It is sacred. It is the only way the vast can come into being. Consider the artist. A masterpiece begins with a single brushstroke, tentative and unremarkable. Consider the writer. The novel begins with a single word, the story with a single sentence. Consider the healer. A movement that transforms communities begins with one gesture of compassion, one voice raised, one hand extended. These beginnings may appear small, but they contain within them the seed of transformation. The power of humble beginnings lies not in their outward magnitude, but in their fidelity. A seed does not ask when it will become a tree. It simply breaks open when the season arrives. A caterpillar does not rush to grow its wings. It lives each stage fully until the time of transformation. In the same way, we must not despise where we are or measure our beginnings against the magnitude of the dream. Our task is to be faithful to the moment, to act, to step forward, to begin. Humble beginnings also protect us. If we were to be handed greatness without preparation, we would collapse beneath its weight. The small beginnings strengthen us, shaping patience, endurance, humility. They allow us to fail safely, to learn quietly, to grow roots before stretching upward. The oak cannot rise without first anchoring itself deep in the soil, for without roots it would be toppled by the wind. Our beginnings root us in the unseen, giving us the foundation to endure when the storm arrives. There is also a hidden wisdom in obscurity. When we are unseen, when our efforts seem unnoticed, when our work feels small, we are given the freedom to experiment, to stumble, to shape ourselves without the crushing gaze of expectation. The butterfly is prepared in silence. No audience watches the chrysalis. So too are we shaped most deeply in moments when no one is watching. These small and hidden acts carry a power that time will one day reveal. The danger lies in impatience. We are tempted to leap ahead, to bypass the stage of crawling, to demand the glory of wings before we have endured the slow work of becoming. But nature offers no shortcuts. The leaf must precede the flower. The night must precede the dawn. To resist beginnings is to resist life itself. By embracing them, we honor the path of transformation. Every person who has shaped history began as an unseen dreamer. The inventor, toiling in solitude. The poet, scribbling verses no one read. The reformer, dismissed as insignificant before their words took root. Their beginnings were humble, but their persistence carried them into greatness. The dream did not reveal itself all at once. It unfolded through small steps, through patient labor, through the refusal to despise the small. The caterpillar's crawling is not wasted time. It is part of the journey. Each step prepares the body that will one day hold wings. Each moment spent in obscurity carries the seeds of the future. What seems like delay is preparation. What seems like smallness is foundation. The butterfly does not appear suddenly. It is the culmination of every unseen beginning that preceded it. To dream big is to accept the paradox. We are called to vastness, but we must start in smallness. The two are not in conflict. The dream gives direction, but the beginning gives birth. Without the small, the dream remains an abstraction. Without the dream, the small loses meaning. When the two come together, destiny takes root. The power of humble beginnings is that they carry within them the entire story, the entire unfolding, the entire becoming. To stand at the threshold of beginning is to stand in the presence of destiny itself. For within the smallest seed lies the outline of the forest, and within the most fragile caterpillar lies the dream of wings. There is a voice that does not speak with words, a summons that does not arrive through logic or reason. It comes as a stirring, as a restlessness, as a vision that glimmers at the edges of our imagination. This is the call of the future self, the whisper of who we are destined to become, reaching back across the corridors of time to guide us forward. The caterpillar knows this call without knowing it. It cannot name wings, for it has never seen them, yet it moves toward a destiny that requires them. It does not crawl forever, it surrenders to transformation because something within it insists there is more. We, too, carry this summons. When we dream of becoming greater than we are, when we sense possibilities beyond the limits of our current form, we are hearing that same call. Dreams are not inventions of idle fancy. They are messages from the self we are becoming. They are fragments of the pattern already inscribed within us. To ignore them is to betray our own becoming. To heed them is to walk the path of wholeness. The future self does not call us with comfort. It does not say, stay as you are. It disturbs, it unsettles, it presses us toward risks we would rather not take. It arrives as a longing for change when life feels stagnant, as a dissatisfaction with roles that no longer fit, as a hunger for something larger than what the present provides. Sometimes the call comes as silence, an absence of meaning so heavy it forces us to search. At other times it arrives like fire, igniting visions that will not let us rest until we begin to shape them. This voice is often quiet, drowned out by the noise of the world. Society calls us to conformity, to settle for the identities handed down by family, culture, or circumstance. But beneath those layers, the deeper voice persists. It is the archetype of transformation speaking through us, insisting that the life we live is not the whole story, that wings are waiting though we cannot yet see them. The call of the future self is not easy to trust. It demands faith in what cannot yet be proven. The caterpillar does not have evidence of wings. It has only the inward pressure of instinct, a mysterious command that urges it to weave the cocoon. Likewise, we are asked to step forward without certainty, to move toward a vision that has no guarantee. The future self offers direction, not security. It beckons us to leap, knowing only that the leap is required, not where it will land. This summons often feels like contradiction. The present self clings to comfort, to stability, to the known. The future self asks for release, for surrender, for risk. To follow the call is to endure tension between what we are and what we are becoming. The old skin grows tight, the old patterns no longer fit, yet we resist shedding them. And still the call persists, sometimes gently, sometimes with force, sometimes through the collapse of everything familiar until we can no longer ignore it. There is a paradox in this voice. It is both intimate and eternal. It arises from within us, yet it does not belong only to us. It is part of the larger rhythm of life, the same rhythm that carries the caterpillar into flight and the seed into tree. To listen to it is to align ourselves with the current of existence itself. It is not merely personal ambition. It is the unfolding of something universal, something woven into the fabric of being. When we honor the call of the future self, we step into dialogue with possibility. We begin to act in ways that seem disproportionate to our current reality. We take risks that make no sense to the logical mind, but are utterly clear to the deeper self. We may begin projects that seem too vast, relationships that feel improbable, paths that appear uncertain. And yet, as we walk them, doors open, strength emerges, and what once seemed impossible begins to take shape. The very act of answering the call reshapes us into the kind of person who can fulfill it. The future self is not static. It evolves as we evolve. Each time we answer its summons, it moves further ahead, calling us toward new horizons. The journey is not toward a single fixed image, but toward an ever-deepening realization of who we are. Like the butterfly that emerges not into perfection, but into another cycle of life, we are constantly being summoned to further growth, further expansion, further becoming. Sometimes the call appears as an image that will not leave us, a picture of a life that feels more authentic than the one we live now. Sometimes it comes as a sense of resonance when we encounter certain people, places, or ideas, as if something inside recognizes them as part of the path. Sometimes it reveals itself through the very things that wound us, as if our pain points us toward the work we are meant to do in the world. However it comes, it demands attention. To ignore it is to feel restless, fragmented, incomplete. To follow it is to feel aligned, even when the road is difficult. The caterpillar cannot imagine the flight of the butterfly, yet it trusts enough to obey the summons to change. In the same way, we may not be able to imagine the full scope of our becoming, but we are asked to trust the whisper of wings we cannot yet see. The call of the future self is not a promise of ease, but a promise of transformation. It insists that we are always more than we appear, that the one we are today is not the final form, that the dream of wings belongs not only to creatures of the air, but to every soul willing to listen to the voice that calls it forward.